Okay, welcome back. Now, as a series of videos, I'm thinking this might be the last one on the 5G and the coronavirus, just because I think I've already covered what I want to cover, and I think if anything, I'll round that out here. However, if you have any questions at all, or if you want me to go into more detail about anything, please don't hesitate to ask, because I will do a video if you want on any specific details. Really, I'm going to encourage you to do as much research as you can into 5G, and not just 5G, but just non-native EMFs, and just so that you understand the danger and why it's so important that we push back on this. It's so important. If you have any kind of influence in your local community or in any kind of government to push back on this, I highly, highly recommend that you do it, because this is actually getting a little scary that we're even having to deal with this. And I think if anything, if Wuhan was an indication, and if it was really as bad as they said it was, and if people were melting or whatever they were saying was happening, then we need to take this very seriously. Now, I'll tell you right now that there's lots of people in this country who are not exposed to 5G, but who have been exposed to other unnatural electromagnetic frequencies that have experienced severe health effects. They've experienced these really strange sort of illnesses, and unfortunately for them, they go to a doctor, and the doctor says that they're just hypochondriacs, or it's not real. And why is that, right? Let's talk about this for a minute. Why would anybody think that 5G wouldn't be harmful? Well, again, it goes back to the fact that you can't see energy, right? And so some of these health effects that people have, that they call them autoimmune diseases, for example, but there's no identification for it, right? So some people will have some strange symptoms that maybe hardly anybody gets, but they're real, and they're harmful, and they're damaging to the person that's experiencing them. They're in pain, they're whatever, right? They're something is going on. It's not cancer, or it doesn't have the name of cancer. It's not diabetes, it's not some diagnosable illness, right? Something that they can say, oh yeah, it's this. And they're saying that there's all sorts of new illnesses that are popping up, and they don't even have a name for them, right? They are even saying that there's all sorts of mental illnesses that are popping up, that they're calling all these random things, right? So, like, for example, there's this thing, and I haven't been hearing about it too much lately, but it's still there. It still exists, this thing called restless leg syndrome, for example, right? What is restless leg syndrome? And I've known some people indirectly that have this and that have experienced it. And I think, what is this? Like, their legs are just like they can't relax, or whatever it is, right? Well, this is a real symptom. This is really a situation they're experiencing. It's not in their heads, and that is just completely rude for doctors to tell people that. But they do. They send people home saying, oh, it's stress, right? In some of the worst cases where that's happened, these people that they're sending home, they're maybe going back for, answers, because they're experiencing certain symptoms, and they're telling them it's stress, and then they go back again and they're like, it's stress, and then all of a sudden they have a brain aneurysm or something, or a hemorrhage that shows a brain tumor, right? They never took it seriously. I mean, this is kind of on the extreme level, but it doesn't matter. When you have something going on in your body, you feel it, it's very real to you, right? And you want answers. You just want to know, is what's going on, right? Is this, what kind of illness do I have? And when the doctors just send you home saying it's stress, or saying it's all in your head, that's just rude. That's just wrong. It's not helpful. And a lot of people who have experienced, I don't remember, it's called, I forget, it's called something insensitivity, maybe I mean sensitivity, not insensitivity. It's basically a sensitivity to the non-native EMFs. And so these people have had to look into this for years just to try to figure out what's wrong with them. And so they eventually identify that it comes from their exposure to these unnatural signals. And so what do they have? They have to go to extremes. I mean, these people they can't have any kind of wireless devices around them. I mean, these people have to like either move to, the mountains somewhere, or they're the ones that are creating Faraday cages around their homes just to survive. I mean, and when I say survive, maybe it's not killing them dead right then, right? But they're in pain. They can't function. They are feeling very, very badly. Where does that come from, right? Why? And that's the other reason that doctors sometimes will say, well, it's all in your head. Well, how could this person have all these symptoms and while they're exposed to this, and this person's exposed to more and they don't have any symptoms? Well, we're all individual. Everything affects us differently, right? For one thing. For another thing, there is such a thing as becoming sensitized to something, whether it's chemicals or something energetic. Okay, so I used to work with a man, I'm a chemical engineer. I have a master's degree in material science. I got my master's working on polymers in the lab, actually having to mix up materials and make certain types of materials. And one of our technicians that worked with me, and he had been there for many years, and he was the person that would mix up plastics and adhesives and things like that for our assembly group or team. And he did this for many, many years until he had to stop. Why? Because he became sensitized to these chemicals he was working with. And what happened is just gradually something was going on with him, and eventually it was like, these things are affecting you. You can't work with them anymore. So they had to move him out of that facility and out of that job. Well, this can happen to everybody. And again, it's not a one size fits all. We can't just give a prescription for this person and say, this is going to heal you, and then the same prescription for this person who maybe even has the same symptoms, because that's just not how it works. It's not how our individual bodies work, individuality. That's not how it works. So what might affect one person might not affect another person. Not only this, but there's other factors that my living situation, the things I am exposed to, toxins, chemicals, dust, allergies, whatever, right? Even emotional stress, fear of losing a job, fear of losing a home, whatever. All of this comes into play as far as your overall health status, right? So you might have this person here who's like living among 4G, among all these, this concentration of both Wi-Fi routers and smart meters, and they're actually fine. But that person maybe is active. Maybe they go out every day for 2 hours and run trails that really, aren't concentrated with this. Maybe they're not surrounded by other pathogens or toxins, right? Maybe their job is in a place where whatever. I mean, the point is that no two people's situations are the same. And all we can do is try to get back to nature as much as possible. So when we talk about coronavirus and who it's affecting and why, if we should be afraid, well, obviously we're going to always want to take precautions. Come on. I mean, we should be taking precautions always. I mean, we can tend to get kind of complacent at times, maybe in the summertime when we're feeling good. We're not washing our hands as often. We're not paying attention to these things. And so if anything, if this whole so-called pandemic scare has done anything, I think it's at least maybe made us think about our own habits and how they might be affecting ourselves and others. And so we should definitely use that as a lesson. But in terms of being fearful of, oh my gosh, this virus is going to kill us all, everyone that gets it's going to die. That's not the case. And if you look at the statistics, very few people are dying from this. Most of these people are exhibiting symptoms. They get tested. They're told they have it. And then the symptoms go away, and then they get retested, and it's gone. This is happening to a lot of people. And so the question is, how can you make sure that you are going to be protected from that? Well, let me tell you, one thing is going to be pushing back on 5G, whether or not that was part of the reason there were so many deaths in Wuhan, in Italy, in Washington, wherever it was, it doesn't matter. I think there's two things to remember, right? Your overall immune system, your overall health status is going to affect whether or not you get very sick, whether or not you even acquire it, and whether or not, of course, if you die. So what are you doing to protect yourself? What are you doing to boost your immune system to help yourself? Again, biohacks, especially with the energy, right? That is the focus of my group and this kind of whole series that I'm working on. Because I also talk about vitamin C, I talk about nutrition, I talk about fitness. Okay, so how can you really help yourself? I'm seeing a lot of people right now kind of having a little bit of cabin fever, or maybe a little bit of just disappointment that they can't go to the gym, because there's some people that are used to going to the gym to get their exercise done. And it's understandable, right? When you're used to a certain type of exercise and it makes you feel good, whatever, and then it's just become part of your routine, and that's broken, cut off, right? Now what do? I can't go to the gym to get my exercise in. So here's the kind of irony, and this is how my mind works. I look at the silver lining in everything. I look at the positive and I think, how can we turn this around? I mean, people are going to be experiencing major hardship through this period because restaurants are shutting, curbside only right now. That'll probably end. I'm not sure. Maybe things will mellow out a bit. Maybe it's just going to get worse. We don't know. The problem is right now there's going to be a lot of fear of the unknown. How do we combat that, right? How can we move forward and not be fearful? And how can we look at the silver lining in everything? Well, first off, okay, when I'm talking about this thing about people not being able to go to the gym, and really, what's the silver lining in that, right? When it comes to what I'm saying, right? Well, first off, you want to get exercise. Go outdoors. If that's the only place you can get exercise, go outdoors. And here's the other thing. At the gym, you are automatically out of your control under all this unnatural light. So you're being bombarded with EMFs as you're trying to exercise and get healthier. Does that even make sense? You're actively counteracting what you're doing while you are in a gym. You might, and I'm not saying don't go to the gym, because if this is the only movement you get, well, that might be better than being indoors under light anyway and then not getting any exercise. So I'm certainly not trying to discourage you from exercising however you can. All I'm saying is that, is it really a good idea? Is that really the best you can do? I mean, if you're going to take time out of your life and out of your schedule and out of your day to do something healthy, why wouldn't you want to optimize that as much as you possibly can? Why wouldn't you want to just, get some weights yourself, resistance bands, whatever. I mean, shoot, whatever you can do, right? And do all these exercises outdoors. You want to do your cardio outdoors? Well, go for a run. You want to just do a walk? Actually, they say the walking is even better for you, right? Do it, because you're going to be actively helping your body, and you're going to be combating all the unnatural EMFs that you're exposed to. So do that. Again, in addition to ramping up your exposure to the sun, in addition to gazing at the sunlight in the morning and all of that, this is one thing you can do, right? What other silver linings can you see? Let me tell you the other thing about illness, okay? And fear, which is also tied into energy. If you are constantly watching television and media or on social media, and they're constantly giving you numbers of all these deaths and all these cases, and well, that's going to be embedded into your subconscious. You're going to start being fearful, whether you think you're fearful or not. And that is going to weaken your immune system through stress, right? Stress weakens your immune system. So why not maybe shut that off and look, just take it one day at a time. And nothing is promised to us, right? Tomorrow is not promised. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Nobody knows what the next hour holds. So why not enjoy this moment, this very moment, and be grateful for all the blessings that we've had up to this moment and even today, and this information, right? Or whatever. I mean, all I'm saying is fear is not going to help. It's going to harm. Faith is going to help. And I know it's hard to have faith when you see all this mayhem going on around you, but take a step back from that. And so for me, this is going to sound kind of funny, especially coming from somebody like me. But I went to the grocery store the other day, not for toilet paper. I hope I'm set with that. I don't have, packages and packages either. I'm just, again, I have a lot of faith. I believe God always provides for whatever we need. So I went to the grocery store because there's certain foods I like. Just, I thought I'm going to pick up smoked salmon. I like making these smoked salmon sandwiches. We've kind of gotten used to them. We really like them. And while I was there, I thought, you know what? I hardly ever splurge and indulge. I mean, sweets, I don't really eat a lot. I'm not that big on them. But yeah, obviously we like it sometimes. So I bought ice cream. I bought this Talento ice cream that's like layered with peanut butter chunks and fudge and vanilla ice cream. It's really, really good. We get it every once in a very long while. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to have to sacrifice something right now, whether it's going out to eat or going out and being, going to some event or being around certain friends or whatever, you know what? I'm going to indulge a little bit. I mean, enjoy life, right? If you have that, as long as you're prepared. I mean, try to prepare as much as you can, but the fear is such a powerful emotion, and reward yourself as much as you can for little things, and feel gratitude as much as you can, and understand that all of this is energy. All of this goes back to what we're talking about, 5G and non-native EMFs. So you can actually affect your health status by calming down, by meditation, prayer, taking baths, right? And before I close out this video, I'm going to give you one more, I guess, recommendation or suggestion. When you take your bath, take it with, this kind of sounds funny, right? Take it with a grain of salt. No, not with a grain of salt. Take it with a handful of sea salt and put it in your bath. A handful of baking soda. Put that in your bath. If you have some essential oils, that would be great. If you have apple cider vinegar, that'd be great. If you don't, just use the baking soda and the salt. Pray over your bath with the intention that you have. Your intentions for health, well-being, joy, forgiveness, whatever. Just pray over your bath. Pray and put all of your energy, right? Put all of your thoughts and your emotion and your intention into your bath. And then take your bath, soak, enjoy. You might find, and this is what I find for me when I do this, if I'm really, really infusing my intention into it. Sometimes I just feel such an overwhelming feeling of gratitude. Sometimes it's and other feelings too. Sometimes they're not even pleasant feelings. Sometimes it draws out tears. I mean, major tears, right? Well, this is cleansing. This is what you're doing. And what you're doing with the baking soda, what you're doing with the salt, is actually balancing out the energy within your body. This helps to clear out some of these toxic or unnatural frequencies that you've been absorbing. And I'm going to tell you right now, the frequencies that you're absorbing are not just coming from the unnatural EMFs from these devices. It's also coming from your thoughts. It's coming from toxic thoughts, from fear, from dread, from all of this. So what we're experiencing right now is very, very detrimental to not just our own individual health, but to the collective health, because we're also connected, right? And you'll read that in my book. So to close off this video, I really want you to be conscientious about how you're thinking and how you feel as far as fear, dread, gratitude or lack thereof, and really work on your intention. And if you really feel a strong sense of fear or dread, do that bath. Take that bath. Get outdoors. And I'm going to send you a little prayer. And I just want to say that I pray today that you have your eyes wide open to the possibilities of just feeling better, feeling good, feeling okay, feeling at ease, being present in the moment, and having gratitude for where you are right now and for the safety of the people you love. And if you have lost someone, I am terribly sorry. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. But I wish for you the peace that comes with acceptance, that was their journey. And this is our journey. We don't know why. Maybe it'll come clear eventually. But this is just our journey. This is just a part of life. Illness, death is a part of life. And all we can do is be at peace knowing that this is where we're meant to be. Have a great rest of your day.